Guys, welcome to Dreaminisfree's top review of the year. So on this one, I'm going to share my top 13 gigs. Now, haven't been to see over 200 artists this year. It's been really difficult. I was going to try and whittle it down to 10, and it felt like a real disservice to not include some gigs that touched my heart so much. And you'll see from the list that I'm about to reveal to you that a lot of them I've mentioned in my top live acts anyway, but also it's really difficult when so many artists touch your heart to whittle it down to 10, and you'll see my taste is quite eclectic, but I think that's a good thing. I don't understand people that say, oh, I only want to listen to heavy metal, or I only want to listen to indie. You know, if you get so much from those genres, like, try and listen to other types of music. I think it's really important to have different music for different feelings and stuff, and different stuff that you're going through. And yeah, I love having different genres that I can pull from to help me through different things that I'm going through in my life. So the first gig I want to give a special mention to was Palace at the Academy. Support came from All We Are. So sorry, I can't even read my own writing. But again, they were just another support act I've never seen before, and they're from Ireland, Brazil, and I think it was Croatia. Different, or like one of the Slavic states, I think the bass player was from, she's from anyway. So like the fusion of musical influence is obviously very different anyway, but like it was the first time I'd seen a drummer playing standing up live, so that was a new experience for me, like a drum kit but standing up. And just like, I'll be honest, for the first few tracks I was like, I didn't really get it, and then like as towards the end of the set I was like, my god, this is brilliant. But then Palace, as I mentioned in my top live acts of the year, absolutely, you know, they smashed it out of the park. I had goosebumps and I cried when they were playing. That's how good they were. They touched the soul, and like, it was one of those gigs that I just didn't want to end. Their set was absolutely phenomenal, phenomenally beautiful. And everyone was just like dancing and singing, and it was a really, really, really beautiful. I almost felt like I was at the Pyramid stage watching the headliners. That's how it felt. So yeah, that's why they're included in this top 13. Like I said, couldn't whittle it down to 10. The next one I want to mention is Seagulls at the Academy. Fourth time I'd seen them this year, but again, it was just absolutely phenomenal. It was the best I'd seen them play. The more they play live, the better they get. I love all of their songs. They don't have a crap song out there. They really don't. Every song that they've written is brilliant. And also the Mysterine supported them. And again, another live phenomenal band that were in my top 10 live bands of this year. Just brilliant. The whole evening was fantastic. And also I went to see it with someone who's extremely special to me. So if that wasn't another reason to include it in the list, then I don't know what is. The next one, and I've mentioned it previously in my top 10 live acts, was the Howl and the Hum at the Deaf Institute. I don't recall who supported now, and I'll kick myself after this list, but it was just like, when they did Sweet Fade and Silver, the song about the Fiat 500, they literally, the mirror ball was twirling as it always does in the Deaf Institute, and they had all the white lights going off it, and like because it was all white light that was going off it, it lit the room up with all the little, the little reflections off the mirror ball that go around. And it was just, I cried. It touched my soul. It's such a beautiful song anyway, and his voice is just phenomenal. But, in that moment, like, I was with two of my best friends, Kylie and Ange, and the fact that I was there with them, and I first met them at the Howl and the Hum in January, and we got chatting after the gig, and that, like, we ended up going for a drink, and they've ended up becoming some of the best friends you could ever wish for. But like, we'd almost gone full circle, and to share that with them at that moment just touched, it made me cry. And like, I think any music that can make you cry is going to be special, and that's why it gets a special mention. The next one I want to mention, I've had to write these down because, to help me remember was The Tallest Man on Earth at the Albert Hall. The Albert Hall in Manchester is an old Methodist church, and because of that the acoustics is absolutely incredible anyway. It holds about, I think it's 1,300 the capacity there. It's over 1,000 anyway. So, you know, when it's a sellout gig, which this was, you know, it was, it's really special. And The Tallest Man on Earth is one of the most phenomenal phenomenal artists you'll see live anyway. Just him and his pedalboard and his guitar, and he had like these beautiful light boxes. And I'll put it into the video and show you my favourite photo that I've taken of a musician this year was the photo from that gig. Just the composition of the photograph itself, like the way the shadow was and like the light coming from behind him. He's an artist I've loved since, you know, I saw him perform King of Spain live on Jules Holland, or later with Jules Holland, and been a fan of his ever since. Just loved him live, and like he is really funny in his performance as well, and like he used all the stage, and he was like, you know, he kept interacting with crowd on the ground level as well as up on the balconies as well. Just, yeah, really, really, really special. And even though I fell over in Manchester walking to the gig, massive hole in my tights, I didn't actually spoil the evening. It was still an incredible evening. So yeah, that was another highlight of my year. The next one I want to give a special mention to was Honey Blood and Deja Vega at the Academy. Deja Vega are a Manchester band who are just finishing up writing their first album, or producing their first album. A band that have gained a massive following. Kind of hard to just, how sometimes you just can't pigeonhole bands because they're so unique. Kind of heavy rock and roll is how I'd describe them, but their sound's phenomenal. But like Honey Blood, when she came out to the theme tune for Bewitched, and like she honestly, she did bewitch me. Like her voice is insane live. Like she's an absolutely incredible live artist, and she, like, it was a close call between her and like making the top 10. But yeah, just live, and like the way she performs and like her voice is just incredible. So like I had to give that gig a special mention. And the next one I want to mention is a punk band called Sheafs. They're from Sheffield, hence the name Sheaf, at Night and Day, and they had support from Lynch's, Tinfoils and Manalishi. They were all incredible bands in their own rights, but like I've never seen Night and Day kick off in a big mosh pit like that, but it just did. Like Sheafs absolutely smashed it out the park. They were phenomenal live, really. I got to meet Kaylee, who's a photographer friend now of mine, and she's from Sheffield, but like she'd seen the Chiefs. I think that was her 5th time this year. Another really, really phenomenal act, and like it was my 2nd gig that day because I've been to a free gig at a retro clothing store in Manchester on Oldham Street. And if you know Manchester, you know that Night and Day is on Oxford Road as well. But yeah, absolutely phenomenal gig. So I had to get a special mention. The next one I want to mention is Pip Blum. You'll recall I talked about Pip Blum in my top live acts of the year. It was my 3rd time I'd seen Pip Blum, and it was at Gorilla. The support was from Personal Trainer, another Dutch band who are really, really good, who I'd never heard before, but they were brilliant. And then Hotel Lux. I'd been lucky enough to see Hotel Lux at Why Not anyway. And 2nd time I'd seen him. Danny Dyer is English Disease, sorry, the singer about Danny Dyer in the song. It's a phenomenal song, but also The Last Hangman is like, that song gives me goosebumps, and it featured it in Peaky Blinders in season 5. Just a phenomenal live band. But like Pip Blum that night, it was just such a magical night. Really, really good fun. Pog went at the front with these with this young lad, and he was a sweetheart, but like no one else was dancing. And I said to him, "Are we gonna dance?" And he's like, "Shall we do?" Yeah. And it's like, "Fuck it." And like we just both Pog went. We had so much fun. But I hung back at the end of the gig, and this girl like went up on stage. And I said to her, "Can you pass me a drumstick?" Because like, she obviously worked there. And she went, "Hang on a minute." And she went to the back of the stage, and I was like, after about a minute, 2 minutes, I thought, oh well, I thought she mustn't be able to get me one, and I just like was gonna leave. Ginny the drummer came out, and like she went to her drum kit, and then she came, and then she gave me a drumstick. So like I got to meet her for a few seconds, and it probably freaked her out a bit, but I was like, Ginny, thank you so much. Like, I've seen you guys 3 times this year. You are absolutely phenomenal. I love your guys' music. Thank you so much for that performance. And then she gave me the drumstick. And then she like went to sell the merch. But like, yeah, it was just, and again, one of those magical nights that like, it'll stay with me forever, that experience. But yeah, brilliant act. The next live act I want to give a mention to is Kate LeBon. Again, it was another evening at Gorilla, and the support came from Grim. He is a solo artist who uses a lot of electronic like synths and pedals and stuff to make his sound, but like I've never heard anything like it. Phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. Kate LeBon is just, she is a friggin' phenomenal artist, and like she doesn't really talk to the crowd, or she didn't that much that night anyway. I don't know if she does that at other gigs because I've only seen her once, but I was really surprised that she played Miami first, which is obviously the first track on her latest album, Reward. But that woman's music, it's like, it's not like anything else that I've heard before, and I think that's another reason why I love it. But you know, when people come out on the stage and have this presence, like look, I've got goosebumps. You can't see on the camera, but I've got goosebumps now just thinking about it. But like, she had this kind of serenity, confidence. It's like I was in awe of her. Like she had that even before she sang a note, the way she just came out, and like when the saxophones like start playing, or the brass section starts playing on Miami, and then it goes do 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 do. Not very tuneful, but yeah, absolutely, yeah, phenomenal live. And like, she didn't really say much, and like she did sing some songs in Welsh, which I think is really cool as well. But yeah, one of my highlights of the year. Absolutely phenomenal artist live, and I would definitely go and see her again. Next up, I want to give a special mention to my rock buddies, Nova Story. Now, how I met them is really funny. I met them at Bang Bang Romeo, or I met Imogen and James. So Imogen sings vocals. Well, how else do you do vocals? And James Duckworth, aka Ducky, plays the drums. I met them at a Bang Bang Romeo gig, and we just got talking. And someone else who has become a friend of mine, Emma, she goes, "Do you know who they are?" And I was like, "No." And she's like, "You need to listen to their voice, like her voice, because it's amazing." And I was like, "All right, okay." And then their song Monster had just come out, and like Imogen said to me, she goes, "Have you on Spotify?" And I went, "Yeah." And she goes, "Here." And she put Monster in my phone. She can stream that until you get home. So I did. And then when I got back to my car, I live about 40 minutes from Manchester, and from the centre of Manchester, and I streamed it all the way home. Couldn't stop listening to it, and I then saw them at the Blossoms pub. I think it was October, and it was fucking horrible. It was a Friday night. The gig was free, believe it or not, but yeah, it was absolutely hammering down. It was fucking god awful weather, and they were supported by Cry, a Welsh band. They're from North Wales, and Blind Operator. I'm not really sure where they're from. Both great bands in their own right, I think. But Cry especially, they were brilliant. They reminded me a little bit of Biffy Clyro. I wrote that in my review. All of these gigs I've reviewed, by the way, so go and check out Dreaminisfree, my blog. But Nova Story set is one of the few sets I've actually videoed the whole of, and it's on my YouTube channel. I have never seen a rock band as like well produced, or as like, I mean, I've seen Metallica 5 times, or like I've seen so many heavy metal artists, because right, rock used to be the genre that I listen to mainly, but like these guys wouldn't be out of place supporting the likes of Metallica, Slipknot, Tool, System of a Down, Biffy Clyro, all these great bands, Royal Blood. Like, honestly, go and listen to Nova Story. That's Novu Story, all one word. But like, honestly, live, their light show and their performance, I couldn't believe I was seeing this in a pub in Stockport. I was like, if it had been in a venue, I'm trying to think of a venue in Manchester that it wouldn't have been out of place. So O2 Victoria Warehouse, great venue. I think it holds about 3,500. It wouldn't have been out of place there, honestly. It was absolutely phenomenal, and I keep saying phenomenal gig. So I had to get a special mention. The next gig I want to say is Self-Esteem. The first time I saw her, Band on the Wall, I was literally from here to where this camera is, so I was about 3-4 foot away from her for most of the gig. I got some incredible photos. The photos I took, actually her stylist Mia contacted me through Instagram and she said, can you send me the photos because I'd like to use them, and I was like, well, I was honoured. But yeah, it was really great to get to meet her afterwards, and you know, I just told her that she was a phenomenal, like one of the most phenomenal artists I've seen. Nemo were a band who supported them. I'm actually going to see them in March, I think it is, at Band on the Wall again next year. But yeah, the support act were brilliant. But like, honestly, Self-Esteem, she played I'm Shy, so I think that was the last song that she did, and she sang it a cappella, so with her and her backing singers. And honestly, like, go and watch it on my YouTube channel. It was just absolutely incredible. That woman's voice is insane, and I love her songs about like people shitting on her and like her overcoming like the kind of insecurities and the shit that's happened to her. So like it's incredibly moving and wonderful, like her art form as it is, but like I just love her music. It's absolutely phenomenal, and like I had to include that gig because it was the first time I'd seen her. It was only my second time at Band on the Wall, but like honestly phenomenal, and I had to include it. The next one I want to include is Cautious Clay. I was at Park Life in June, and it was a crappy, horrible, rainy weather for all the weekend. But my friends and I were going to see an artist. I think we were going to the Valley because Annie Mac was about to play, and I was walking through the tent. And you know when someone, you hear, I was walking through, and then I actually heard who was playing, and I stopped in my tracks, and I turned to the stage, and I was like, who the fuck is this? His voice is just stunning. It's kind of a little bit Marvin Gaye, but like that doesn't do a disservice to him because Cautious Clay does sound unique anyway. But I looked at my program to see on my Park Life app to see who it was on, and I realised it was Cautious Clay, and I was like, I've got to see if he's going to be playing in Manchester again. And luckily enough, he did do a set. Yes. So Eloise was the support act for him. She was phenomenal. She just played the guitar on her and really beautiful voice. But like Cautious Clay came on. Not only is he multi-instrumentalist, so he played the flute, the saxophone, the guitar, and the keyboards, which is bloody impressive in itself. But his voice is stunning. And like at one point in the gig, he said, like, "Are you guys enjoying it? You could have heard a pin drop." And I think that's the thing I love about Manchester. Like we respect great musicians, and like honestly, everyone was so quiet, like because they wanted to hear him sing. But like, honestly, his voice is just really one of the most beautiful voices I've ever heard. And like that gig, especially like in the S Basement, I don't know if you've been in there. It's not that big a capacity, but that made it more special. I love the intimate venues in Manchester, whilst I have been to, you know, the bigger venues like the Victoria Warehouse and the Albert Hall and Academy One as well. Like, I prefer more intimate venues, and certainly the Yes Basement is very intimate. And I say this about a lot of music, but like, yeah, that gig especially will stay with me forever because it was so beautiful. And like after the gig, I went up to him and I told him about what happened at Park Life, how I like his singing made me stop in my tracks and I had to find out who he was and then go and see him. And like loads of people were queuing up to have selfies with him and get like their album signed and stuff. And all I did is I went up to him and I told him my story and I said, thank you so much for your magic, you know, like I love your music, like thank you. And I gave him a hug and then left. And like I love interactions with artists like that. I love thanking them for what they bring to us. But yeah, it was just a really, really special moment. The next one I want to give a special mention to, and this is number 12, is Yannicka at Leadmill. I've already mentioned these in the top live act, but not only was it great because another of my top live acts and favourite people in music supported Zuzu. Rusalka was an artist who was on first. Really hard to describe her. It was she reminded me a little of Kate Bush, like her voice and like the way that she sang. She played the organ along with her, and like one of the songs she hadn't finished writing, which was a bit weird. But she admitted that, and fair play to her, because it kind of added to the performance. But like it was very different, but good different, you know. And then Zuzu played, and like she's phenomenal as always, and I shouted I love you, and she went I love you too, so that was cool. I got to chat to her afterwards again. She's such a diamond, honestly. She's one of the nicest women in music, honestly. She's a sweetheart. And then Yannicka, like live, oh my god, like they're one of my favourite bands. I just love everything about them, and whenever anyone says like who would you recommend I listen to, I always say Seagulls, Yannicka, and Sophie the Giants are three of the acts that I recommend, because you know they're all very different, but all phenomenal in their own rights and for their own reasons. But yeah, it was just brilliant. And then the last one I want to mention is a band you probably won't have heard of. They're a Manchester psych band called Fauna. So it's really weird how this gig came about, because I was supposed to be going to Pride in Manchester. No, it wasn't. Pride in Manchester was on, and I was supposed to be going to a rave with a mate, and then the rave got cancelled, and she was going to a party, and basically there was only 2 tickets, and she was already going with a mate, so I couldn't go with her. So I was like, fuck. I've always liked the band called the Ventrals, and so they were playing at Gulliver's in the Northern Quarter, and there were still tickets, and I was like, fuck it, I'll just go there. So the first band were Chameleon Soul. They were really good. I really liked them. And then the Ventrals came on, and like I really love their music anyway. But like Fauna, it was funny because the lead singer, he had a sore throat. He was drinking Cavonia. But like they started playing, and I was like, it was just such beautiful, trippy, floaty, happy, wonderful music. I was like, I couldn't not include them, because it was one of those last minute gigs, and it turned out to be one of the best that I've been to this year. So yeah, Fauna, go and check them out. They just released their debut EP in November. So yeah, really love them. Also, they were one of my favourite interviews. Like their studio is just stunning, but their practice space. But yeah, so that is my top 13 gigs of the year. Thanks for watching, and I look forward to sharing the next top list with you.